Hello, it's Lisa from Lady Norway Energy Healing here, coming at you from her healing space. Yes, so here we are, the fire horse. Enter the fire horse. Today's the 17th of February. Let's just say I'm hanging in there. We're all hanging in there, and things are going to be amping up, getting faster than they were before, if you can believe it. So, a couple things have come through while I was getting ready to do this. I'm just going to do a little quick reading from the Energy Oracle. And yeah, I was just going to do a quick little reading because I thought, yeah, it's a good day to do it. And there's something about this lunar eclipse that we're having today. The end of the wood snake. And now we're in the year of the fire horse, and it seems like it's appropriate to check out the energies. Also, there's a couple things about like where we're headed as a collective humanity, about the light workers and the way showers, people on the spiritual path, people that are so-called awakened. I mean, we all have the ability to be awakened. Things happen in our lives that cause us to see things differently. Instead of seeing things from the outside, like what we see with our eyes, when we go inside, we can actually really see what's going on. And there's a perspective shift when you head inside first, when you look inside first. But like when I'm saying awakened, I mean, there tends to be this like hierarchy, even in the spiritual community, where, you know, there's people on the spiritual journey. Well, we're all on the spiritual journey. Um, and people are all going at it on their own pace. I mean, some people would, might be still asleep. And I don't know if that means, not present, not aligned, not clear. I mean, the thing is that you get to a place in your life where you recognize that this is all for a reason. Every single thing that's ever happened, good and bad, gets you to a place where you need to be. And this astrology that we're having right now is part of that. Um, it's wild. There's so many things that these generational planets, the ones that take a long time to move, that stay in signs for 200 years, like Pluto going into Aquarius, and that's been happening for the last couple of years. But this stuff is all like activating these sort of ancient things that we as human beings are made up of. And so we're waking up, we're remembering. We have it in us. There's this stuff coming up that I got this sort of download about the nervous system. And when we talk about awakened ones, like in ancient cultures, the nervous system, the spine, like kundalini, like all this energetics, these energy um, bodies that we have, and all these different types of ways that to express how we are, like spirit in form, like we are source energy in form, in physical form. And these ancient cultures had that figured out. Like they figured out how to sort of nurture that, so be in the world but not of the world. And yeah, so I just thought it was interesting that, like, I think everywhere you look these days There's the nervous system, the nervous system, the nervous system, you know, and, maybe that's this awakening that's happening as a collective. Maybe this, we have all this access to all this information, like how to heal ourselves, how to make ourselves better, and I think I can't remember where I heard it, but somewhere along the way, I heard that like awakened people are harder to control. And, the powers that be, same kind of thing. It's just sort of like, it's so vague and, you know, it's just, you can give it a lot more power than it needs, basically. You can give it more power than it needs, but, we're trying to live in this life that our reality that we've created for ourselves. And we're trying to just navigate that. And there are these things that seem greater than us, or um, have power over us. And right now, with the way that the energy is shifting, and this fire horse is like, I just picture it running through all of that nonsense, like a horse galloping and just like running through all that freedom, and running through all this nonsense and just being like, I'm free, I'm powerful, I'm empowered, I'm sovereign, you know, and that's what I think is going to happen, is people are going to start to realize that things don't have to be a certain way. There's options, there's ways of doing life that's different. And I think that's what's coming up. And it's also about like, shedding that last bit of the wood snake. I think like when you think of a snake shedding its skin, the last little bit, they got to rub up against stuff to get that last little bit off, and that's what we've been doing. And now with the fire horse, it's like we also know that in this new energy, this new earth energy, which is what it is, it's new, and it's not for everybody, but it is for everybody. We just don't, some people just don't recognize it as that. This still has that attached to it. It can be negative. People can look down on somebody that's, practices spirituality or of any kind. It's becoming more mainstream, thankfully, because it's like it's our nat it's in our nature. These are the kinds of things, like when you go back to looking at traditions, ancient cultures, these are sacred rituals that are part of us. And I guarantee you, if you haven't and you start making things just a little bit more sacred, it changes the way you move through the world. And I mean, there's many different ways. It doesn't have to look like, running up and down the road with a drum and, you know, chanting and, just, what, there's these things that people have, like this person has gone off the deep end or whatever. That's a good place to be. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's not for everybody. But you can have both. You can have your foot in both worlds. I just think for myself, I've had my foot in both worlds, and I've been afraid to step in fully, and because of that reason. So I get it, but I think the more that you accept that this is your authentic way of being in this world, and it doesn't look like everyone else, and it's not necessarily for everybody, but if it works for you, then jump in with both feet. This is what the fire horse is saying to me. um, anyway, the fire horse energy and the fire, this is the new year. Like today is the beginning of the new year, um, the actual new year. Like, and then we've got the next one, which is like the equinox, that's the beginning of the astrological new year, like, I don't know, these ancient cultures that have been doing this kind of stuff, it feels appropriate. It feels, and whatever works for you. There's not one way. But it's pretty interesting how it fell on this particular astrological event with this lunar eclipse, and just the way that Uranus is that planet that rules Aquarius, where this eclipse is taking place, and how it's in Taurus. Uranus is in Taurus. That's my sign, sun sign, rising. Taurus sun, Taurus rising. Hello. Yeah, Aquarius moon right here. Um, yeah, so it's an interesting time, So there's a shakeup. There's definitely a shakeup. That's Uranus energy there. We got Pluto in Aquarius. Lots, that's all about power. And for me, it's really coming up with the stuff that also, like, what, that big part that's always been about, like, what's no longer serving you. Like, that just sometimes feels like what's no longer serving you, like, let it go. It's like, it's hard to do. Now we don't have a choice. It's happening. It's done it for us. So that can be a scary place to be when stuff falls away. Things leave your life, people, places, jobs, you know, all the stuff that we value in the earth sign of Taurus. Um, and also too, it can sort of shake your resolve as far as your, because I sometimes struggle with that as well, with self-worth, value, you know, and sort of putting that out to everyone else and not really bringing it into myself as much as I should, So it's all just like ding, 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 ding. Wake up here, wake up call there, awakening. Uranus, planet of like lightning flashes, aha moments, sudden, shocks. But that's that thing. It's like not to be feared, but to be embraced, and to be look forward to. That's that same thing, the good and the bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's important to accept it all. But yeah, I cut the card like on hostilities. So it's like on the split. Rest and rejuvenation, meditation. Now that's what you need to do. Get grounded, stay grounded. And if you identify as a light worker or a way shower, um, it's more important than ever to lead with love and to ground in those energies of love and peace and harmony, and shine your light more than ever. Shine the light for others to see. Be that lighthouse. This is where the wisdom that you've acquired over your years or your experience, your journey, whatever, doesn't even have to be very long. Some people are just like, young, and they've got it figured out. I know some people like that in my life. And but embrace where you're at, and your wisdom is worthwhile. And now's the time about being seen too. Like the fire horse is like, show yourself to the world. Aquarius is also saying that, that's that classic, let your freak flag fly. And own it. But yeah, show up. We can show up. And still play small. But now it's about showing up and being seen. And so that's partially why I'm doing this too. But anyway, so I'm just gonna take a little card here. Let's see. So this is like a collective energy. The thinking man. The thinking man. The thinking man. So he's kind of, that's a 10. So it's 46. So 10. It's a bit of a completion there. So the thinking man, he's probably thinking, great, I've got this. I'm holding on to it and I feel it slipping away. On a collective level, that could be, our systems are shifting and they've been male dominated for the most part. Things have been male dominated. So um, that's what I'm getting right there. But I mean, in relationships and, your bosses, maybe, I don't know, interpersonal relationships, business partnerships, any kind of relationship, families, somebody's like, things are changing and it's not what I'm used to. And I'm thinking, ugh, how am I going to be able to hang on to this? That's what I'm getting. But I mean, the thinking man in the book, I think, has got a little bit of a different meaning. But I'm just going to get one more here. Yeah, we're shifting out of the way that things were. Working for the man. I don't work for the man, but I work for myself. And I feel like I work for the collective as well. And I'm in a place of able to serve that as well and myself. Yeah, so that's interesting. But we've got this calling of also too with like the action oriented fire horse is very masculine, and fire energy is, action oriented. And sometimes we need, oh, but look at this, we've got a victory. Collectively, we've got a victory over the way that things were. Things are changing and it is going to be okay. That's the vibe. But the thinking man, yeah, I guess that's what I get. I get this feeling like this person's just holding on to something and recognizing that, it is these crystals. It's like, you can see he's holding these crystals in his hand. And it's almost like it's saying, you know what to do. You know what you need to do. And if we want to hold a vision for ourselves of what we want for the future, or what we want for our lives and for our loved ones, we know what we need to do. And what we've been doing up until this point, we've got to shift out of it. We've got to shift out of it. We got to be more conscious of how we move through this world and through this life. And we got to recognize that, there's this laurel on here. It's like a laurel. I think about the earth and the plants and nature and the animals, and how this is also, it's just funny, it's 2 10s. So, it's just this completion of this cycle is what it's reminding me of. And I noticed that she's turned away from him. He's kind of holding that. You can see the light there in what he's holding in his hand. I mean, this is the thing. We all have this light. We all have this light within us. It's not outside of us. we think that, it's outside of us, but it's inside of us. And at one point, what has happened up until this point, I think, is that that's trying to be hidden. It's like it's the way to do that is to empower yourself and like look inside. I was saying that earlier, looking inside, going within, taking time to just, you know, people that go like, I can't meditate or whatever. Um, you can. All it looks like is just stopping for 5 minutes and taking a breath, closing your eyes, and then just holding it and blowing it out. There, I just meditated. It's that simple. It's just focusing on your breath. It's taking time out for yourself. It's feeling into your body, feeling, what do you feel? This is back to the nervous system thing, you know, making sure that you calm the nervous system. That's the ticket. Like, uh, we're all in this, like, we're still has residual, and then our own stuff. It just keeps creating more and more and more of the same. We just stop, recognize what we need, and give that to ourselves. Each person taking care of themselves first, and then being able to take care of others in the world and be of service to that. um, that's what we have to do. That's what we have to do. But anyway, things are changing. Let's just say that things are changing. The shift is on now. Like everything, it's like one day, it's like, it's not going to be like boom, it's done and we're done the work, and that happened and now we're on to something new. No, this stuff takes a bit to kind of like integrate and process. We have to assimilate the new energies and stuff that's coming towards us, so we have to give ourselves the time to process. We have to, sometimes we have to slow down, even though in this world that's so fast paced, and hard to find time to be able to do that. If we could just even take 5 minutes, focus on our breath, we just start creating little things that will help us throughout our days. If you could just start, make a habit change, small ones, but it just starts to make a difference. And there's this thing I always find, that when you make a different choice, when you're always doing something the same, and you're in this sort of like cycle of just the same things happening over and over again, all it all you have to do sometimes is just stop, say, okay, take a breath, focus on your breath, feel into your body. How am I feeling? Why am I feeling that way? What's happening? What do I need? What do I need? Figure that out, and then make that choice to give yourself what you need. And that little shift, that little tiny little shift of energy that you've created, that little energy shift, that's all it is. And it can be just tiny. It doesn't have to be like huge, but it changes the trajectory of the flow. It changes, it opens up like another thing for you to be able to see or feel or hear or whatever. Call it whatever you want. Your messages from spirit, source, guides, angels, universe, higher power. Um, and that's how you access that, is to go in. That's where you get your communication, is by going inside. It doesn't happen out here. It happens in here. And that's another thing with I think that passion part of the fire horse too. If you think about fire, like in the tarot, it's passion, inspiration, that inspired guidance. That's how you get there. And anyway, it's 24 minutes, I think. Oh yeah. Anyway, I'll probably blah 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 blah, and can go on and on and on forever. But um, yeah, so that's that. That's what I got. Those are a couple things that came through. I'm going to try to keep doing some stuff. I'm going to put up some other things. I've got some different kinds of stuff to record now, and I'm going to do a little bit of some stuff with that. Just keep 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 tuned in because things are coming out now that the fire horse is here. I'm hopping on and I'm going to be going along with it. So, yeah, there's lots of cool stuff coming up. And you can catch me here on this channel. You can like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that stuff. Get this stuff seen more by other people if you're interested in energy work and tarot and, you know, all this stuff that I'm into and that I provide as a service. You can look at my website. It's ladynorwayenergyhealing.com. You can email me if you have any questions or want a book. Info at ladynorwayenergyhealing.com. And yeah, and got my yeah. I mentioned my website. Anyway, on that note, I hope that you're staying grounded um, in this shift. And I'm hoping that together we will continue to kind of create this world that we want to see, we want to be part of. We can't pretend that things are going crazy out there. We can't just say that's not happening. It's happening. These very awful things are happening, but there's also really beautiful things happening. And I'm going to try to focus on the beautiful things. I'm going to try to bring beautiful things to this channel for myself and for others. And yeah, anyway, hope you'll join me. But anyway, we'll see you on the next one. Ciao for now. Bye.